Welcome to the show. I'm Chetan Ostwal, Vice President, Business Operations for AV and ESS, working closely with integrators, engineering teams, and global AV environments, understanding not just how systems are built, but how they perform in the real world. Today, I want to take a step back and talk about the current state of the AV industry. What's really happening on the ground, what's changing, and what integrators, consultants, and engineering teams need to start doing differently as we move into 2026 and beyond. So, let's start with a quick pulse check of the industry. At a broader level, the AV industry continues to grow, but it has clearly moved beyond the post pandemic surge phase. Growth has normalized, leading to a more disciplined and mature market. Decision making cycles are longer, budgets are being looked at more carefully, and value justification has become increasingly important. And what's the best part? Growth may have normalized, but demand has gradually evolved. Growth may have normalized, but what's really changing is how demand is being defined. Today, it's largely driven by experience. AV is no longer limited to traditional boardrooms or event spaces. It now plays a role across offices, hospitality, retail, transportation hubs, and operational environments. Clients are looking for more personalized, interactive, and immersive experiences rather than just standalone systems. That shift has an interesting story. Shift in demand is naturally influencing how technology is being selected and deployed. From a technology perspective, the industry is gradually moving from being hardware centric to more outcome focused. Collaboration hardware is becoming more standardized. LED displays are replacing traditional projection in many environments, and software, cloud platforms, and services are taking a more central role. At the same time, while the overall outlook feels stable, the day to day reality for integrators and engineering teams is still quite complex. Despite steady demand, teams are dealing with multiple challenges at once. Economic uncertainty has introduced pricing pressure and margin sensitivity, which often leads to design revisions and sourcing adjustments. Projects are rarely cancelled, but they do tend to get delayed or rescoped, and clients are no longer just buying systems. They're increasingly looking for outcomes, and that's an important shift to recognize. Clients today expect integrated business solutions, not siloed AV systems. AV is expected to work smoothly with IT security, collaboration platforms, and data driven operations. This naturally pushes integrators to think more like solution partners rather than just system installers. AV and IT convergence has in many ways become unavoidable. Network readiness, cybersecurity consideration, and endpoint management are now part of core engineering responsibilities. At the same time, AI expectations are growing quickly, sometimes faster than real world deployment maturity, creating a gap between what's envisioned and what's currently achievable. The industry is also still working through the transition from project based revenue models to more service led and recurring structures. While most firms recognize the importance of this shift, it does require changes at an operational, cultural, and financial level. And none of this really works without the right people, which brings us to the talent aspect. The industry needs professionals who can combine AV expertise with IP networking, cybersecurity awareness, and a basic understanding of emerging AI capabilities. So, if these are the challenges, the main question is, where do these solutions begin? A big part of that answer lies in engineering. Engineering becomes the key enabler for the next phase of the AV industry. Systems need to be designed with experience outcomes in mind. keeping personalization, interaction, and usability at the center. AV and IT convergence should be treated as a starting point, not an afterthought. Network ready architectures, clear documentation, and security planning need to be built in from the beginning. Cybersecurity especially needs to be part of the design conversation from day one. To support recurring revenue and managed services, systems should also be designed for long-term use, keeping monitoring, scalability, and lifecycle management in mind. At the same time, engineering teams should approach talent development in a structured way, building skills that align with where the industry is heading. So, to sum this up simply, here are 5 things that stand out moving forward. First, the AV industry is growing in a more disciplined, value driven way. Moving on to the next point, experience, not hardware, is becoming the primary demand driver. Another important aspect is AV and IT convergence is now a standard expectation. In addition to that, services and life cycle ownership will increasingly define successful firms. Finally, talent and skill development will play a key role in long term competitiveness. The final say is, when we look at the AV industry today, it's no longer just about equipment and installations. It's about outcomes, integration, and long term value creation. The firms that recognize this early will lead, and the ones that don't may find themselves constantly catching up. So, what's the real takeaway? Start thinking beyond projects. Start thinking in terms of systems, services, and sustained impact, because the future of AV won't be defined by what you install, but by what you enable. And we're just getting started with these conversations. There's a lot more to explore, and we'll be diving deeper into other areas in the episodes ahead. Until next time, thank you for joining me.